On January 19th, Henry Cejudo and TJ Dillashaw fought, with TJ Dillashaw having a chance to win the title in the flyweight division in addition to his bantamweight title. This fight ended up being a 32-second fight, and the big question afterwards was the stoppage good, or was the stoppage a little too early? Since it was such a short fight, I'm just going to break down the entire fight, or at least break down the key moments in it. And then I'll get to whether or not I think that TJ Dillashaw was correct in arguing this was a very early stoppage. So let's start at the beginning here. So if you start there, Henry starts off in orthodox stance as he normally does. Begins with a rear body kick, lands. TJ then throws a left leg kick on the inside. And again, in my pre-fight study, I was talking a lot about how the leg kicks are going to be a big part of this for Cejudo. He has a really wide stance, as you can see here. And one of the issues with that stance is that you end up being susceptible to leg kicks. One of the risks that you take if you're leg kicking a guy like Cejudo is that if you let him grab onto it, he'll take a single, take you down, and he has no problem just trying to hold you down for an entire round. So that's something that TJ had to worry about. So he throws the leg kick there and throws another one right after. Cejudo looks to counter, but he's a little bit late. Fight goes on. Cejudo goes for a head kick. Hard to tell if that one got blocked or if it partially landed. Doesn't look like Dillashaw is doing too poorly here. Dillashaw looks okay. Throws a punch, gets pushed down here. So again, this isn't actually a knockdown. He just kind of got shoved over and got caught off balance. But now as he's coming back up, Henry Cejudo is going to throw a head kick. Partially blocked. Now over here, Cejudo throws an overhand right, and this one actually clips him behind the ear, or clips TJ behind the ear. And this is where he's going to start fighting for, just fighting to show the ref that he's still on this. So Cejudo's pounding away. TJ is trying to grab a leg and wrestle. Now TJ is turtled up, looking to wrestle, looking to get back up. Now you can actually see the ref in the right behind them. He looks like he's almost ready to stop it right here. Meanwhile, TJ is still fighting back. Cejudo's doing a good job of keeping him off of his legs so he can't take him down, or he can at least hold on and recover. And he's still trying to throw some punches in the meantime as well. So again, now right here, as TJ gets back up, Cejudo drops him. And this is where the ref, you can kind of tell by his face, is like, okay, shit, this is it. The fight's over. But if you're watching TJ, he's still looking to move here. So he's kind of turning with Cejudo, trying to go from being turtled up to facing him. Too little, too late. Ref jumps in and stops the fight. All right, so now I'm just going to play TJ's response to how he think the stoppage went.
Sucks, man. Sucks to have it stolen from you. You know, I worked my butt off. So much better than that, and it'd be nice to actually get the chance to show it. You know, it's a title fight. It's a champ versus champ fight, and you're gonna stop the fight like that. I'm on a single leg. He says, "Hey, show me something." I said, "I'm okay. I'm on a single leg in a scramble." He stops punching. He's defending a single leg, and you're gonna stop the fight? It's just ridiculous, man. It's pretty pathetic that I have better knowledge than that ref.
So you just felt like, I mean, the other champion versus champion fights we've seen you know, clean knockouts, a corner stoppage. You just wanted the opportunity to, you know, fight.
I'm gonna lose. I want to lose. I want to lose.
Yeah, and he kind of goes on from there at the press conference, just saying he doesn't feel like he actually lost the fight, that the stoppage was early. So I'm just going to try to play the replays that they showed. So again, kick doesn't look like it lands. Right here, he's kind of dropped. This is kind of like a flash knockdown because he gets hit behind the ear. He's still fighting, still looking to wrestle. It's kind of like this in-between of like a turtle and actually trying to grab onto a single. But as he reaches, Cejudo does a good job of creating space and landing. But here, he's still turning in. And the thing is, they talk about, if you're going to keep a ref from stopping the fight, you have to show that you're intelligently defending yourself. On one hand, he didn't do a great job of keeping his hands up, but at the same point, when you're wrestling, you're reaching out to grab someone, so your hands aren't going to be blocking your face while you're still reaching out to grab a hold of their leg. And it's clear that TJ was still active. He was still wrestling. He wasn't out. He wasn't in a position where Cejudo was going to keep pounding on him. He kept moving. He kept looking to advance position. And Cejudo would kind of counter and then land some more shots, but it's not like he was ever in a position where he was trapped and he couldn't get away. So for the ref to jump in there, personally, I'm on TJ's side in that I think it was a bad stoppage. Now, do I think that TJ should say, oh, I got cheated? I mean, yes and no. I think if this fight goes on a little bit longer and the ref actually lets it play out, I think Cejudo is probably going to be able to actually get the finish there. TJ got dropped on the shot that clipped him behind the ear. He got dropped on the one that caught him on the chin that ended up essentially effectively being the last one. Let's see if we can show that again. Yeah, that shot right there, right on the chin. So he was definitely in a bad position there, but he's still moving. He's still fighting back. So is it the worst stoppage I've ever seen? No, he definitely looked like his eyes rolled back on the last shot, which the ref jumped in right after. So I can partially understand where the ref's coming from there. I don't think it's the worst thing ever, but it was definitely early. He was still defending himself. And you'd wish in a fight like this that he would have let it go and at least make it so that after the fight's over, no one's talking about, oh, well, hey, let's run it back. I don't feel like we actually saw anything. Because in reality, Cejudo dropped him twice in a fairly short amount of time. But in MMA, it's not just about you drop someone X amount of times and you win the fight. You actually have to be able to finish them either by putting them out or putting them in a position where they're no longer intelligently defending themselves. TJ was intelligently defending himself, so I agree that the fight should have gone on a little bit longer. And I think as far as how the fans saw this, initially I think a lot of fans were in the same boat as me where they felt like there was an early stoppage. But then there were some people who decided that since everyone was saying that it's an early stoppage, they kind of had to take the opposite direction on that and said, oh, well, Cody Garbrandt rocked him worse, or Cody Garbrandt wasn't rocked as much. So therefore, by TJ's logic, he shouldn't have won those fights. And again, the standard is intelligent defense. I think there was still intelligent defense. And because there was still intelligent defense, then you kind of have to let it go. As far as what happens next for these guys, I think there's some irony in Henry Cejudo saying that he wanted to save the flyweight division, and now he's calling for his next fight to be at bantamweight. Hopefully, I mean, it's tough. I think because he beat the guy at the weight class up, it would make sense for Henry personally, not the flyweight division, but for Henry personally to actually move up and go for that second belt against a guy he just beat. And plus, in that way, TJ at least gets a rematch. So even though he's not going to get the second belt if he wins that fight, he'd at least be able to get that loss back off of his record. But for the flyweight division, they've got a fight coming up right now with Davison Figueiredo, who looks like a really good contender. I believe he's fighting for Miga. So if Figueiredo gets the win there, he would definitely be a good guy to put into a flyweight title fight. If both of these guys are in good health, though, and the contract negotiations aren't hard, maybe you can fit this fight in either before the Figueiredo fight or shortly after it, where at least then it's easier to kind of make it work from there. But we'll see what the UFC decides to do. We'll see what TJ wants to do next. We'll see what Cejudo wants to do next. And I'm sure whoever those guys fight next will be an interesting matchup, whether it's against each other or someone else.